Lately, there's been a lot of attention on this Quest 3S or Quest 3 Lite, but there was rumors a while back that a Quest 2 Pro was going to be developed, and then rumors that it had been canceled. Now reports are back saying that they have been working on a Quest Pro 2 since November of last year, although this is a much more ambitious headset codenamed La Jolla, and this is something more akin to competing with top-end headsets including the Apple Vision Pro, or even potentially ones like Vario XR headsets. The name La Jolla had actually shown up before in Meta's roadmap, and that was a more premium headset they were designing instead of what was originally the 2024 model of the Quest Pro 2. La Jolla would be featuring the photorealistic codec avatars, the ones that we've seen some early models of that really look a lot like the people, obviously using facial tracking, eye tracking to really show through their emotional expression. It would keep the rear battery design that we saw in the Quest Pro, although a lot of people found the Quest Pro headset itself uncomfortable. The battery design and the weight balance of the headset was really good. Although these photorealistic avatars are something that has been in the works and even revealed back in 2019, as recently as March of this year, Boz was talking about and saying, well, they're making a lot of progress. It's probably still years away on a photorealistic avatar. These reports do point to the fact that this may have something to do with the LG partnership we've been talking about, although that has been pushed back years too. So it looks like true Pro 2 model may not be something we would actually see until around 2027. But all we know was that in the roadmap, it said that this was way out in the future, and it looks like maybe the only headset we'll see revealed this year would be something like the 3S Lite. And we've been keeping you up to date about the 3S or the 3 Lite. If you missed some of that, basically it looks like there's going to be a headset coming out this year to replace the Quest 2. It uses the same Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor the Quest 3 has. It adds full color mixed reality cameras for pass-through, but it stays cheaper by using the older style Fresnel lenses, or at least some sort of older design optics that makes the headset thicker, wider, and probably not as nicely balanced or comfortable as the 3. But in the most recently leaked pictures, we do see that it does use the same controllers as the 3, as people were wondering if there was going to be controllers or not. And ultimately, this brings up the question, is Meta going to eventually have a low-end headset, a medium headset, and a super high-end headset, and basically still control the entire VR market? For years, the Quest 2 was the most popular headset by far because it was wireless. It was amazingly cheap compared to its competitors, and in a time when VR was so niche that really only one major headset could survive, it was pretty much it for the VR market. Now that Meta sees the expansion, especially with the Apple Vision Pro entering the market and that potentially actually working well, even at its price point for the people who really want it, it looks like maybe we're going to be back to Meta having their own multiple tiers of headsets, but still trying to control every level. None of this pointing towards all of us have been wanting a truly still PC dedicated headset, but of course all of their Quests do also work on PC. You just end up with other things to deal with, like battery issues, cable issues, or of course having to have really good Wi-Fi to keep up with it. So what do you think? Do you think it's wise for Meta to just stick to one lane and keep with the Quest lineup that they've had that's worked so well? Or do you think it makes sense at this point, as VR grows, to branch out and have a headset for every kind of person that wants to get in? One thing that we can say for sure is the Quest lineup is still expanding with other big names, as Logitech is showing off their MX Ink, basically a VR stylus where you can draw in the middle of air. And editor John and I actually got to see a preview of this years ago now when we were at Adobe Max, although we were in a closed room, we weren't allowed to film or record any of it. And it was funny because they had said that the meeting was something to do with, like, I can barely remember now, but it was very vague. It was like, oh, this is about editing. And so it seemed like something that would help. And then all of a sudden it was like about editing 3D shapes in 3D space in VR with this pen. And it really was completely different than what we were pitched it as. But it was interesting to see even back then this Logitech branded pen they were using and what they were able to do with how quickly they could make 3D models. But now Logitech has announced the MX Ink. It is officially endorsed, made for Meta Stylus, which supports the 2 and the 3. And it is at least noteworthy because this is the first time Meta has allowed any other company to harness its tracking technology in an actual third-party product. We haven't seen where the Quest 2 could use other controllers. There were tons of accessories for the controllers, but there was never ones that actually had its tracking built in that you could replace it with until now. A stylus or a pen or pencil is much more akin to what we're used to when it comes to fine drawing, even in 3D space. But it does beg the question, like we saw with the Quest Pro controllers, how they had the stylus tips and nobody used those. Why would this be better enough that you couldn't just use a controller in midair? But at a $130 price point, it's not terrible for this Logitech stylus. And then there is also an Inkwell dock, which it drops in, it keeps it charged up. It's another $40. But at that price, I would say for especially people who do designing in 3D and VR, it's a pretty easy price to stomach to at least try this out and see if it does help your workflow. And as we've seen with Apple, there's potential. They were talking about an Apple Pencil making it over to Vision Pro 2. So maybe pencils will be something we see commonly, especially as now hand tracking and multimodal are working working together. It'd be really easy to switch from your hands to grabbing a pencil, doing something, and then go back to use your hand instead of having a controller that you're switching back and forth between. We've seen Quest sold refurbished by Meta, often not for the greatest of discounts. Now Quest 3 refurbished units are also being sold for $450. So basically now you can buy a refurbished Quest 3, the 128GB storage or the 512. The 512 will drop it to $580, $70 off, or the 128 is basically $50 off. Also, the Quest 2s, now they're so cheap new, they're $200. You can get a refurbished one at $190, but it's $10. The nice thing about the refurbished headsets, they do come with the same 1-year warranty. They're inspected, thoroughly tested, they say. But as we've seen before, people who have had their Quests have something break and they end up getting them replaced sometimes get sent these refurbished units instead of getting a new replacement. I don't think this is going to help VR spread to a whole bunch more people. It's not that low of a price point, and there's probably used models you can look around online and still find for a much lower price point than that. But you do get the warranty, so if you've been looking for one and that extra $50 is make or break for you, it is a way to get one with the warranty now from the company at least. If $50 off isn't enough for you and you'd rather try your luck, we do have some giveaways going on. We're giving away a Quest 3, a Quest 2. BoboVR is giving away a bunch of their accessories as well. But basically, if you somehow missed that, I'll leave some links in the description down below. There's been a lot of things going on lately with the channel, all the growth thanks to all of you. We've moved to this new space here, so it's again another way of us saying thank you. And we just had some winners all around the world. In the UK, somebody just won. I actually have their wish list so I can order them that headset. A winner in Australia got some BoboVR goodies. So yeah, if you want to enter those, make sure and check those out. We're halfway through 2024 and we're back talking about teleportation again. Now, if you've been with the channel a long time, you might remember us talking about that way back when. The idea of teleportation, obviously in real life, is moving your physical person from one location to another instantaneously. Well, Vario, big name in the VR headset industry, has a different idea of what teleportation could be, and that means that someone's complete surroundings, every detail could be recreated to where if someone was wearing a headset, they could be standing in your living room, seeing your exact living room and everything in it in real time. So imagine like you want to rearrange your living room and one of your parents has a really keen eye for that. They could pop on a headset, suddenly you'd see a recreation of them standing in your living room. They would see your entire living room, and that's about as close to teleportation as we can get right now. Well, now Vario is trying this another way. Instead of using just the sensors on the headset, their 3D sensors, now they're letting you capture any scene with an iPhone and view it photorealistically on PCVR. And the cool thing about this is, although currently this is meant for PCVR, these scans could actually be seen even on just a desktop PC or on a phone, kind of like how in Google Earth you can move around a 3D location and see it like that. It means we're one step closer to the idea of teleportation. But the thing that interests me the most about this, there was a thing a long time ago where a father wanted to let his daughter experience her dollhouse, and so he took a camera down inside of it and made a virtual reality experience inside that made it feel like you were now the size of a doll in there. Scalability with something like this is something that can be really effective, so not only feeling like you've gone to a different location, but also feeling like you can step down into the size of a scale model, a Lego set, a toy, something like that. It would be a really cool way to utilize this. We'll bring more to you about this technology as it continues to develop, but more and more it seems like iPhones, just so many capabilities are being unlocked with what they have in them, from spatial computing to now teleportation. It's interesting to see, and definitely something that might weigh on my mind the next time I get a phone. The Augmented World Expo, if you've never heard of it, is basically the first and only big tech convention that is specifically for the world of XR. That's VR, AR, MR, all rolled into it. That's why it's called the Augmented World Expo. It's actually happening right now in California. I was supposed to be there, very last minute did end up happening, which is fine. We have so much going on at the moment that I feel like my head's all over the place right now. But if you are in Southern California and somehow you've missed out that this is happening, you could still technically make it when this video comes out. It's in Long Beach, California, and a lot of the big players in the VR scene are there, from media outlets, people showing off their new products, testing out the waters. It's a convention that one of these years we're going to have to make it to, because I do feel like the fact that it is an all VR, AR, MR convention is really cool. But if you're down there and somehow you missed it, I'll leave a link in case you want to check it out and maybe try and make it out there really quick. If you've been with the VR space for years, you know how it feels. It feels like a lot of times we start to gain momentum and then it seems like the industry slows back down again. Well, now more mainstream news outlets are saying that the outlooks are actually looking up, especially with mixed reality entering the picture, Apple entering the picture. And although global shipments of AR and VR headsets did decline over 67% year over year in the first quarter of 2024, the actual average selling price went way up thanks to Apple's headset being so expensive, thanks to the Quest 3 costing lasting more. And obviously those sales being way down, especially as the Quest 2 kind of fades out and more people are holding out for a Quest 3 Lite, that's not really surprising. But it is positive news that it seems like more and more news outlets are talking about the future of it, how mixed reality is involved, and instead of us always just seeing articles like we used to, VR's dead, VR's dead, VR's dead, it's nice to be reporting on news and feeling like it's looking up and more mainstream people have an idea what VRs. I have a lot more people right now asking me, hey, what VR headset should I get, who have never considered them before. So with all that, the future is looking really bright, not only in the space, here personally for the channel, with all of your support out there, some amazing things are happening. We are days away from bringing another person into the JayBratt world over here in our new studio space. We're still setting up. It's taken way longer than I want to. There's so many videos that we were set to finish when we got here that we haven't yet, and so many that we haven't recorded, but it's a little bit of a transition time, so be prepared. You're still probably going to see some more shorts and stuff for the next week or two, but hopefully here in a couple weeks, things will be looking a whole lot bigger. So get ready for that. But thank you for supporting me and being here with me every step of the way. And I'll see you in another reality.